When it comes to plants as big as ours, or 1,400 megawatts, we're pumping 3,990 megawatts of steam through our steam lines. That's a lot of flow. So in order to fulfill our safety analysis that we've submitted with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, your MSIVs have to close in 4.6 seconds. Well, that's a 28-inch steam line that's trying to isolate 9 million pounds an hour worth of steam. So in order to get that amount of travel in that short amount of time, you have to have a lot of thrust. So the solution that we selected back in the 70s was a hydraulically operated valve. And essentially what this is we take these massive accumulators and we'll pump 3,000 PSI worth of nitrogen into it, fill it up. You've got a piston that's isolating these two sides. And on the other side, you'll press up hydraulic fluid up to about 5,000 PSI. The design, it's great as far as getting fast stroke, tons of thrust. You know, that thing is gonna close or it's gonna die trying. The problem with that is we're using a nitrogen precharge. We have temperature fluctuations. And in the heat of the day, the temperature heats up the nitrogen, it wants to expand, increases your pressure. And then the opposite thing happens after the sun goes down. Now, typically that wouldn't normally be a problem, but the band of pressure that we have to operate in is very, very narrow, from 5,000 to 5,400 PSI. There's a lot of intervention with our operators. Our operators have to go out there and pump it up and pump it down. And in the nuclear industry, nobody ever does anything alone. You got two operators that you're going to send in the field so that they can check each other. I mean, you've got the reactor operator in the control room who's overseeing the work, and then the control room supervisor who's tied into that, and then the shift manager. But then bigger than that is a reduction of risk, right? This is safety related equipment. I was sitting there trying to figure out what we could do, and one of the things that was discussed was insulation. And there was a lot of people that were skeptical because we only have about enough room for about a 1-inch blanket on the accumulators. And you figure 1-inch blanket, is that really going to stop temperature fluctuations over the course of 12 or 24 hours? It might delay it an hour or so, but there's a lot of skepticism behind it, myself included. But we wanted to try and figure out how can we go about this smartly. If we do a test valve and insulate the accumulators on one, which one do we pick? And then how can we validate the design? I needed to look through the data, to look through our 48 pressure transmitters and just start brute forcing it. And you can tell how excited anybody would be to brute force data analysis like that. And then I get a call from these guys saying, hey, we've got a workshop coming up because of our enterprise agreement, and we're looking for use cases for event frames, wondering if you have any. Like, actually, I do. It took roughly about 9 hours to create the event frame. We were able to pick a valve that we said was the worst offender, go out there, slap some insulation on it, and then watch the data and see the results. They were relatively dramatic. You can see in the previous 9 months before we did installation, the valve that we insulated required 26 adjustments versus the sister valve, which was 17 adjustments. After we insulated that, then the numbers swapped. And we went from it being the most adjusted to the least adjusted immediately after. 53% of the overall required pressure adjustments is what we saved just by this little blanket that nobody believed would work. That's a lot of savings. We were able to prove that this stuff works. Not only that, we are going to go and move forward with better insulation.